As the war enters a new phase, an old question has resurfaced. Why is India still buying Russian oil? We thought the controversy was debated and settled, but turns out it's not. On Wednesday, Ukraine's foreign minister raised it again, and this time he used some tough words. Listen to this. Every barrel of Russian crude oil delivered to India has a good portion of Ukrainian blood on it. That was Dmytro Kuleba. He is the foreign minister of Ukraine. And now we understand his frustration. His country has been constantly attacked for almost 6 months. Hundreds have been killed, thousands have been injured, and millions displaced. It is indeed a traumatic and difficult period. Having said that, Kuleba is Ukraine's top diplomat. His job is to recruit more allies and partners and not to burn existing bridges. India's policy is not about bankrolling Russia's war. It's about getting the best deal for its people. And right now, that means buying Russian oil. Immediately after the invasion, crude prices shot up. They touched almost $120 per barrel. Here in India, that means inflation and hardships. So what did India do? It bought discounted oil from Russia. You see, Moscow is selling its oil at a cheaper rate, almost $30 per barrel lesser. And for countries like India, that's too good to ignore. Earlier this week, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar defended that policy. He said it's his moral duty to get the best deal for India. Listen to this.
So it is a situation today where every country will try naturally to get the best deal possible for its citizens, will try to cushion the impact of this high energy prices. And that is exactly what we are doing. Now, we are not doing it in a defensive way. I mean, we have been very open and very honest about our interest. You know, I have a country which has a per capita income of $2,000. These are not people who can afford higher energy prices. It is my obligation, my moral duty to actually ensure that I get them the best deal that I can from the world.
Sound like a deja vu? I won't blame you. In this particular instance, Jaishankar was speaking in Thailand, but everywhere he goes, he gets the same question. In the US, in Europe, in Southeast Asia, every Western journalist asks him the very same question. Why is India buying Russian oil? If you look at it on paper, yes, it looks bad. India was buying just 33,000 barrels of oil per day from Russia last year. Now almost 820,000 barrels per day. So yes, the numbers do look bad. But what about the politics behind these numbers? India's neutral position is based on two factors. One is financial. Most Western countries are posting record inflation. 40-year high in the US, 39-year high in Canada, 40-year high in Britain. But India's inflation is slowly cooling off. Wholesale prices were up 16% in May, but they slowed down to 13.9% by July. In fact, the Reserve Bank of India says inflation may have peaked in the month of April. And if so, oil discounts could be one of the reasons why. Discounted Russian oil cushioned the impact on India. The second reason is political. India's relationship with Russia is older than this conflict. It dates back to the Soviet times. There is synergy in military equipment, space research, defense manufacturing. We are talking about decades of cooperation that cannot be wiped out overnight. Do Western countries understand this position? Listen into what the US State Department spokesperson said on Wednesday.
But we also recognize, as I was saying just a moment ago, that this is not flipping a light switch. This is something that, especially for countries that have historical relationships with Russia, relationships that, as is the case with India, extend back decades, it is going to be a long-term proposition to reorient foreign policy away from Russia.
He had us in the first part. Yes, this is not like flipping a switch. You cannot change your strategic partners in one night. But did you hear the second part of that statement? Ned Price says it will take time to reorient India's policy. Has he discussed that with India? Has India consented to reorient its policy, or is the US making that decision for India? And this is precisely the problem with Washington, D.C. You're either with us or against us. But what if India wants to be neither? As far as New Delhi is concerned, Russia is not a threat. It is, in fact, a partner. So why should India abandon its partner over a war it did not trigger and a war it cannot stop? Also, why is there no such outrage against Europe? They've still not sanctioned Russian gas, by the way. They're still paying billions to Russian state companies. Is that gas not tainted with blood? The fact is, strategic foreign policy choices are hard to make, and that's what this is for India, a strategic foreign policy choice. World powers may try to dictate it, neighbors may try to influence it, but ultimately the choice must be made by the people themselves. Ukraine, of all countries, should know this. They made a strategic choice to join the NATO. Russia opposed it. China discouraged it. But in the end, it was a choice made by the people of Ukraine. 6 months later, they're still fighting for the right to make that choice. Why should India be any different? WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.